Hey guys, it's Jamie. So today I want to talk to you about anxiety and mental health. You know when somebody breaks their leg or their foot or their arm. If there's a physical illness, usually you can see. Like most people know if somebody's going through chemo, they don't have hair. But with mental health, you can't always see it. There's not always signs. Anxiety is one of those that you may never know your best friend is going through anxiety because she or he never lets you know this. And you're like, but it's my best friend. I would know. Do you? Because there's a lot of people who didn't know that I had anxiety. I'm just now starting to be okay with talking about it. And I'm not talking about like small little, I'm nervous, but that's a good thing to start with. So, when you start a new job or you're dating for the first time and you're feeling nervous and your brain is just telling you all these things, and then some people can overcome it. Now take that nervousness and that contemplation of what all is going to happen that day and intensify it by 10, 20, 50, 100%. And then think about how you would feel. Like put yourself into somebody else's shoes and feel that. That's anxiety. It sometimes cripples the person. I'll use me as a perfect example. There are so many times that I have talked myself out of doing something because I just couldn't get myself out of bed or out of the house. I was either depressed and all I wanted to do is sit in my room, watch TV, binge eat, and not leave or talk to anybody. I can remember one summer where I spent 3 months by myself for the most part. I put on a good show on social media. I made appearances every once in a while, but for the most part, I was in my room depressed. Anxiety stops me from doing a lot of things. I can remember one time I had a date. It was supposed to be a second date with somebody that I really connected with. I thought he was amazing, but he wanted to go to a water park for our second date. I wasn't ready for somebody to see me in a bikini on a second date. Should I have cared? No, he didn't care. He wanted me to go. He wanted to introduce me to his friends. But I was so caught up in my head that I couldn't see past that. I couldn't see that he really was a good guy and just wanted to hang out and show me off. It sometimes just manifests and you just can't get past it. And it's hard. It's really hard. I see it in my child. He just has a little bit of ADHD, and trying to help him during those manic moments is hard. Like this morning, we literally stopped what we were doing, grabbed each other's hands, sat crisscross applesauce, and breathed. That's all. We just took breaths. We counted and took breaths to calm him back down to a normal level that wasn't manic, and to help me not get triggered by his craziness. You learn to cope. Most people do. You need a village, but you don't feel like you need a village because you're so trapped in your head that you don't want to speak out. You don't want people to know that this is how you live your life. Like a hoarder, I will say, like hoarding is a mental illness. It's the same thing. Most people who hoard, you would never know it by looking at them. They just never let people in their house, but their car is perfectly cleaned, nice. They're always perfectly cleaned and nice. But at home, it's a different story. And maybe that hoarding was triggered by a loss of a loved one and they never wanted to get rid of that person's stuff. Or maybe shopping makes them happy, and so they buy the things, but they don't really need it. I was that girl at one time. I still get sad if I go into a shopping mall and don't buy anything. My husband thinks I'm a lunatic for it, but that's what it is. I walked in thinking I was going to buy something, and then I walked out without it, but I want it. But I can't afford it, or I couldn't find anything worth spending the money on. Like, it's silly, but it's the truth. And so you may not always know why a person acts the way they do. They may never share that with you, and it's not as simple as just get over it. It's not. Like, it's a lot of work. Like, I know I talk a lot about choosing to be happy, and you do have to choose that in the middle of your crisis. In order to get there, it is your choice, but sometimes it's a little harder. Sometimes the burden isn't always theirs to bear. Like, you may know a secret that's killing you, but you can't say it. I mean, I don't know what that secret would be, but sometimes people carry other people's burdens on them, and that weighs them down. But I have found that talking to somebody, whether it's a therapist or a friend, it helps, and it makes things seem less hard. I do a lot of journaling, and I really, really, really encourage the journaling. And I have one friend who says, well, I don't want anybody to see it. And I tell her, write it down and then burn it. Like, there's always a way to journal and then get rid of the evidence if you need to do that. So do it. If you're in the middle of an anxiety attack, start writing. Don't think about anything. Just start writing. Like, you may start with A and just let your mind go. I don't really think about it. My train of thought goes multiple different places, and I just write everything down. And then sometimes I read back over it to see what it was. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, this doesn't sound as bad as it was in my head. And it helps me. And then I move on and I never think about it again. It's my way of letting go. And it was the way my therapist had really encouraged me to do. And it really works. Like, it really, truly does work. Yoga works, meditation works, but that journaling, I just found that the more I wrote down, the more I realized I could put things in perspective and be able to lift some of the burden that maybe I had on me. I kept a lot of burden during my chemo days because I felt like I should have been a better mother to my kids and I should have been a better wife to my husband. But then I needed to be there for myself too and get through something that was really hard. And, having help in a village really helped me during that time. Had I let myself do what I normally do and sulk into myself, I don't think I could have gotten through it as well and unscathed as I did. And I did a lot of work with my therapist on talking about cancer and how it affected me and how it affected those around me. And journaling really did help. It really helped me put things into perspective. So if you are battling anxiety or mental health, I encourage you to talk to somebody, anybody, and I encourage you to write things down. And if you are a friend or a loved one of somebody who's battling anxiety or a mental illness, be patient, be kind, be empathetic, put yourself in their shoes, research it, try to figure out what makes them tick or why they're doing the things they do, because I guarantee they're not meaning to cancel on you at the last minute, or they're not meaning to, look like they've been crying, or they don't mean to just not show up. There's usually an underlying reason, and you just have to find out. Just like with kids' behavior, there's always an underlying reason there. Kids aren't innately bad. They don't want to do bad things. They're learning, and they're learning in an environment that expects them to be a teenager by the time they're 3, and they're still learning how to learn our language and our customs and how to be a kid and what's expected of them. And as an adult, it's the same way. You're learning on the fly of how to be an adult, because nobody teaches you how to be an adult. Nobody. So sometimes that person's struggling. They never learned. They never had the foundation to think for themselves when they got older. Whatever the reason is, be kind, be patient, be empathetic. And if you are battling an illness, mental illness, please reach out. Please. There are so many people who can help you. You are not alone. You are not alone. You just have to know that there are people out there who want to help you, and you just need to reach out to them. Anyway, sorry this was such a long message, but it's an important one. So anyway, bye guys, be safe, and signing off.